Hey guys, Richard here. Welcome to the Instagram promotion creative and copy video. Once you start to hear back from influencers, you're going to want to prepare the promotional content that's to be featured. This is another important aspect of influencer promotion that needs to be executed correctly in order to yield optimal results. If you've never used Instagram influencers before, you might not be sure what good quality content looks like. And that's okay because we've all been there. Luckily, it's not really that complicated at all. All you need is to stick to a few key principles and use your intuition. I'll start off by talking about picking out your promotion image. You'll learn about how to differentiate your content from the rest of the influencer's page while keeping it relevant to the niche and maintaining the overall profile aesthetic. And then I'll talk about what your promotion copy should include and provide you with a sample template that you can use if you like. By the time you're through with this video, you'll have created high converting content for each of your potential influencers and will be ready to start scheduling your promos. That being said, let's get to it. The type of promotional content you'll want to use for your promotion will vary, depending on the nature of the promotion, product, niche, and more. However, generally speaking, we like to include the following: an image, a caption, and a link to include in their bio, which can be negotiable. These are all pretty standard elements of a post. The image will be the main piece of content that grabs the audience's attention and displays your product in a positive light. The caption's job is to add additional detail as to what this post is all about, helping funnel those interested to your store. Now, the one thing that isn't necessarily standard is the link to include in their bio. This link will usually be a link directly to your website homepage or your product landing page. This is something that not all influencers will be comfortable doing, but if they do agree to it, you're likely going to have to pay an additional fee for them doing so. In any case, let's take a look at these elements and briefly discuss some best practices to follow when creating them. As briefly mentioned before, the main job of the image is to first gather the attention of the audience and present your product or brand in a positive light. We found that there are a few characteristics of well-performing images that you should follow. I'll briefly go over these now and show you guys a few examples of successful posts to execute these things well. First off, you'll need to make sure that your image will be perceived as an offer and not just another lifestyle post on the page. The idea behind doing this is to encourage people to actually stop scrolling, check out the image, and follow up with a caption where you can further specify the offer. Now, the caveat here is that you must accomplish this without making it appear spammy. So throwing a price tag around somewhere on the actual image is a no-no. The easiest way to do this is using an image where the product is visible but somehow incorporated with the lifestyle that the niche represents. Think of this as something between a lifestyle photo and a product image or advertisement. Second, your image needs to stand out from the rest of your influencer's content. If you look at many influencers' profiles, you'll notice that just about all of them have product posts, some more than others. If your image blends in with the rest, you're doing yourself a huge disservice. People that browse influencer profiles aren't likely to click on every single post, much less every single promotional post. They'll usually scan the page to quickly identify content they deem interesting and then check it out. Luckily though, it's usually not that difficult to stand out. You just need to look through the existing content and think about doing the opposite. So for example, if you notice that every single promotional post is a product on a white background, you might try and mix it up by changing the background color or include a photo featuring someone actually holding your product. Now, this is situational and will take a little bit of intuition to get it just right between matching the niche and standing out, but it gets pretty easy once you've done it a few times. Third, your image needs to match the vibe of the page, both visually and in terms of the image content. This one is mostly common sense and is basically another caveat to standing out. If you're trying to promote with a profile that features a lot of nature content with a generally stress-free vibe, it might not be the best idea to submit a promo where you're featuring a busy city street. Now, I know that these things might not seem particularly obvious when put down on paper, but once you've seen some examples of successful posts, it all comes together. Let's start off with this post from the profile Enduralytics. When looking at this profile, we can immediately tell that it's focused around the fitness and yoga niche. We've got shots of models wearing exercise clothing for almost every post, some of which are doing yoga poses. The image that's being promoted is a tapestry with a design that's thematically related, so this is a pretty good profile match. Now back to the image. Does this image suggest that it's an offer? Well, not exactly. The idea here is right though. You want the product incorporated somewhere in the image, which is the case here. However, the product is actually not the central focus, as it takes up less than a third of the image and is positioned towards the bottom. The landscape is much more prominent. But that might not necessarily be an issue. Let's put aside our criticism for now and see what else is going on with the other criteria, starting off with how well it stands out. When compared to the rest of the page content, we can start to see how this pick might be justified here. For the page content, almost every image is actually a close-up of someone wearing the product, where the background is almost irrelevant in most cases. They're designed to make the product pop out. The downside is, well, that they look very similar, and it's honestly hard to tell a lot of these articles of clothing apart. But the image we're analyzing does almost the exact opposite of the others. First, the background of the image is actually very prominent and attractive. Second, the product itself is actually distinguishable from everything else. It's not a piece of clothing. Now, you won't always have the luxury of easily distinguishing based on your product, but if you see such an opportunity, it's not a bad idea, so long as the product is still relevant to the audience. And lastly, if we consider how well the image matches the vibe, I think it does a pretty good job. There are a few images here and there with some landscape shots, and overall the theme of the page is something between Zen, health, and happiness, which are all elements that are present in this image. So all in all, despite the fact that one of these elements wasn't necessarily that well represented, it was made up by the execution of the other two and resulted in a pretty great success. If you're going to take anything away here, it should be that these rules are not set in stone. Ultimately, everything's going to be situational. You can adjust or even break some of these in favor of doing well in another, which ultimately can yield results. As you spend more time on Instagram going through influencer profiles, you'll get a better sense of some examples and what you can do here. So don't worry if things aren't clicking immediately. Now, after you've gotten people to view the post, you need to get them to take action by providing effective promotion copy. This part isn't all that difficult to execute. What you're looking to do here is simply provide them with the offer and encourage them to take action. So something as simple as a little blurb relevant to the niche, followed by a discount maybe, and your Instagram handle will do. Here's an example of a template that we've used. A call to action about the product, plus the benefit, maybe in this case it's 40% off. Then we include a call to action to visit the link on our account's bio. Relevant emojis are spread out, typically 3 emojis here, 1 emoji just to break up each section so it's a little bit easier for people to read. As you can see, there's nothing crazy going on here. The purpose of formatting our captions like this is to be relevant, offer value in the form of a discount, and include a clear call to action to visit our page. You want to make it as easy as possible for your potential customers to click through to your page and then to your website. There's no need to write up an entire story. You want to get them to the next step of the funnel as fast as possible. Alright guys, that's about it when it comes to creating your promotion creative and copy. If you take the time to think about what you want your post to look like and apply these rules, you should be in pretty great shape. Before we move on, one thing worth mentioning is that a single piece of creative might not be optimal for every influencer you reach out to. You should go through this process with every influencer if possible if you want to maximize your results. It might take a bit more time, but it can pay off tenfold once you actually drop the promotion. Alright guys, that's it for now. I'll see you in the next video.